Hi. God gave me this yesterday while we were in church. The pastor was preaching on an area in here. There's a lot of preaching in this thing about the Red Sea. There's just a whole lot of information here that some of which may never get preached on. I don't know. But this right here is something that's seemingly not related to it, but it ties in. This is in 1 Corinthians 1, verse 20. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Hath not God made foolish the wisdom of this world? And continuing in verse 21, for after that in the wisdom of God, the world by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believed. For the Jews require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. But we preach Christ crucified, unto the Jews a stumbling block, and unto the Greeks foolishness. But unto them which are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ the power of God and the wisdom of God, because the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. For you see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called. But God hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confuse the things which are mighty. Now, at this point you're probably thinking, what in the world does that have to do with the Red Sea? Well, I'm fixing to tell you. From a statistical standpoint, the Jews were in trouble. From a tactical standpoint, they were in big trouble. But they never heard that quote from a famous military leader one time. I can't remember his name right now, but one of his men reported to him and said, "Sir, we're surrounded." He said, "I know. They've got us right where I want them." And this is the way God was looking at this. It may look to men like they've done something foolish, but like I just said, God confounds the wise. Now, over here in Exodus chapter 14, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel that they turn and encamp before, I hope I'm pronouncing this anywhere close to right, Pihahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, over against Baal-zephon. Before it shall you encamp by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, they are entangled in the land, the wilderness has shut them in. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them, and I will be honored upon Pharaoh and upon all his hosts, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so. And it was told the king of Egypt that the people had fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants was turned against the people. And they said, Why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? Sorry, there's a fly bothering me. And he made ready his chariot and took his people with him. And he took 600 chosen chariots and all the chariots of Egypt and captains over every one of them. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued after the children of Israel. And the children of Israel went out with the high hand. But the Egyptians pursued after them all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh and his horsemen and his army, and overtook them, encamping by the sea, besides Pihahiroth before Baal-zephon. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid, and the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. And they said unto Moses, Because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us, to carry us forth out of Egypt? What that basically means is there wasn't any place they could have buried us in Egypt. Why'd you bring us out here? Because we're going to die, because in their mind, they thought the same thing the Pharaoh thought. We messed up. We got our backs against not a wall, a sea. We've got no place to go. But continuing on, is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, Let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than we should die in the wilderness. And Moses said unto the people, Fear you not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom you have seen today, you shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. And it was at this point where God told Moses to hold up his staff and his hand, and the Red Sea would part. Like I say, there's a lot of other information in here, and I urge you all to read about this passage in the Bible. There's a lot of things in there that, well, like Beth was saying a while ago, she had never heard anybody preach before about the wind blowing all night and drying out the land beneath the sea. And of course, there's a lot of people that don't pay much attention to, but when you go to preach on something like this, like I say, there is just so much information in there, and it's hard to get it all in. In fact, you could do like I do. You could read that same passage 100 times and still get something new out of it. That's what I like about the Bible. God teaches us things, and one thing that helps me in these situations is, I told a guy one time, I said, I don't really look at things the way most people do. He said, yeah, I noticed that about you. And that's the way I am. God gives me things, and, that's why so many diverse people are called to preach, because we all see things from a little different standpoint. Because, like you look at my background, I'm not like our pastor, Brother Tracy. He's from construction, and I have been what is known as a jack of all trades and a master of none. But the thing is, read that passage for yourself. There's a lot of people that have never read this, and they should, because it's very important, because you can tell from this how God gained honor, basically justice from the Egyptians. They were mean to the Jews. At first, they kind of like, well, they're okay. And, the Jewish people had done some things that Egypt didn't like, but Joseph saved Egypt, and they repaid God's people not very well. They made them slaves, and they made them do heavy labor tasks, and God got tired of it. Even though they put themselves in that position, God still saved them from it. And He'll save you too. And people ask sometimes, what's all this stuff about getting saved? I'll tell you what it is. It's getting saved from an eternity in hell. It's not something you want, people. And it's never too late as long as you're breathing. Just like the thief on the cross. He was still alive. He was still breathing. And he said, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus has remembered him. And he will remember you too. I love y'all. We'll see you next time. Bye.